Welcome back to the Rock Fantasy Files. This is our last edition for the 2024 year, our holiday edition. I don't have Christmas lights up in my room here, but anyhow, happy holidays, everybody. It's 1979. We're going back to the time machine and talking about records that came out that year, our favorite ones. I in my life, 1979, I was just out of school, got left my job at a department store, and opened up Rock and Roll Fantasy in 1979, which didn't last too long. I think it was out in about 3 or 4 months. I was in Middletown and on Route 211. We were selling pipes and concert shirts. And I left. We got kicked out of that building because we got robbed really bad. Like people would come in and robbed us twice, cleaned out our inventory. I was a young kid, was 18 years old, whatever, and never recovered. Tried to move it to downtown Middletown. Landlord found out what we were doing, booted us out, and then I started doing fairs and flea markets until 85 when I opened up Rock Fantasy. So that's a little bit about 79 in my life. In 79, I'm going to do my monologue. We're going to talk about shit that went on in 79. Of course, we usually start off with a little bit of sports. Super Bowl, Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Dallas Cowboys 35-31. Game was played at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. 79 World Series, Championship Series of Major League Baseball. And it was a best of seven playoff between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles. The Pirates won in 7 games. 79 Stanley Cup Finals was the New York Rangers challenging the defending champion Montreal Canadiens, who made their 4th straight appearance. It was New York's first foray in the finals since 72. The Canadiens would win the best of 7 series, 4 games to 1. The 79 World Championships for basketball and the NBA was the Seattle Supersonics against the Washington Bullets, with the Bullets holding home court advantage. And the Supersonics defeated the Bullets 4 games to 1. In Formula One, Jody Scheckter won the World Driving Championship with teammate Gil Villeneuve in second place. So the reason I mentioned Gil, because Denny Barth, that's one of his relatives. But Denny's not here tonight. We thought he was coming. The 63rd 500-mile International Indianapolis 500 was won by Rick Mears. He also won the championship that year in IndyCar. As I turn the page, 79 Daytona 500 was the first to be televised in full on CBS. And there was a big fight between Richard Petty. Richard Petty won the race. Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison were in a big fight, a fist fight. What do you guys think the top movie was in 1979? Anybody got any guesses?
Superman.
You got it. Superman was number 1. The
Kramer vs. Kramer.
Who?
Kramer vs. Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah.
I never. That's not on the list. No, Amityville Horror was number 2.
Oh, Jaws at 79.
Number 2.
Rocky 2 was number 3. Star Trek: The Motion Picture was number 4. Apocalypse Now was number 5. Moonraker was number 8. Alien was 9. And the movie 10 with Bo Derek was 10. What do you think the number 1 TV show was in 1979?
The Jeffersons.
What'd you say?
Three's Company.
Three's
Happy
Company.
Days.
Three's Company was actually the correct answer, I would say, as a regular TV show, because 60 Minutes was the number 1 show, which is a news show. Three's Company was number 2. Alice was number 4. Of course, MASH. Dukes of Hazzard was number 9. So I was watching that back.
Yep. Hell yeah.
And what do you think the number 1 album was in 1979? I mean, we know what you guys are going to say. The most top selling.
Kiss
Probably
Dynasty.
did something.
No,
Probably
Pink
some.
Floyd, The Wall.
it was actually
Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Billy Joel, 52nd Street.
Hmm.
Pink Floyd, The Wall was number 2. Number 3 was the Bee Gees. Number 4 was Michael Jackson, Off the Wall. Number 5 was Breakfast in America by Supertramp. Number 6 was Highway to Hell by AC/DC. Number 7 was The Long Run by the Eagles. I got the top 10 here. Number 8 was Dire Straits, Communicate. Number 9 was Led Zeppelin and Through the Outdoor.
Oh,
And
nice.
number 10, I'm sure this is on everyone's list tonight, was Christopher Cross. No, that I'm actually behind, but that was number 9. Number 10 was Van Halen 2. That might be on somebody's list. Then we got some news from that year from music. April 13th, during a concert by Van Halen in Spokane, Washington, David Lee Roth collapses from exhaustion. A local doctor treats him for a stomach virus and advises him to calm down, David Lee. Calm down. May
Somebody
1st,
get me a doctor.
May 1st, Elton John, first pop music star to perform in Israel. May 2nd, The Who play their first concert following the death of Keith Moon. The band performs with new drummer Kenny Jones at London's Rainbow Theatre. In May, Iron Maiden, Samson, and Angelwitch share a bill at the Music Machine in Camden, London. Critic Jeff Barton coins the term the new wave of British heavy metal in a review of the show for Sounds magazine. So that was kind of where that came from. May 19th, 3 of the 4 ex-Beatles perform on the same stage. Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr jam with Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, and Mick Jagger at a wedding reception for Clapton. May 21st, Elton John plays the first of 8 concerts in the Soviet Union, making him the first Western solo pop artist to ever tour there. July 12th, this is going to upset some of you, the Disco Demolition Night. I don't know if anybody remembers that. An anti-disco promotional event held by a Chicago rock station at Kaminsky Park involves exploding disco records with a bomb, causes a near riot between games during a baseball major league doubleheader,
I remember that.
forcing the cancellation of the second game. July 28th, Aerosmith and Ted Nugent headlined the World Series of Rock at Municipal Station in Cleveland, Ohio. Also in the bill are Journey, Thin Lizzy, AC/DC, and the Scorpions. Following the concert, Aerosmith guitarist Joe Perry quits the group after an argument with bandmates. November 30th, Pink Floyd releases The Wall, one of rock's most well-known concept albums and one of the best-selling albums of all time. It was the last album recorded with the lineup of Gilmore, Waters, Nick Mason, Richard Wright. December, Iron Maiden is signed by EMI. They hired Dennis Stratton as the second guitarist. Michael Schenker leaves the Scorpions during the tour in France as replacement by Matthias Jebs. On December 3rd, the Who concert disaster. 11 fans were killed during a crowd rush for reserved seats before the Who rock concert at the Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati. Yeah. And that's all the news fit to print. Sorry, I had a lot today. So I thought some of it was kind of interesting, though, as I was doing my notes for this week. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the program tonight. We got Ovi staying up all night in Norway. We got James here from James Delisle from the mighty Crucial Pain and Disc and Dat Records over in Connecticut. We've got Tony Dio from down in North Carolina. We got Ed Farsley from Armageddon Productions. We got Count Ralph as our local metal historian, of course. And we got Brad Nader here from Must Not Kill and Dean Guitars down there in Tampa, Florida. So we're going to start off. Some of us may not have 10. Some of us may only have 5. But we're going to start off with our favorite records from 1979. If you don't have the all, but I think we'll start off and we'll do 10 through 6 and 5. We'll do the first half first, and then we'll go around. Ovi, what do you got? You don't have much death metal from that year, so you must have something we know of.
Yeah, I'll just have to throw together like all this just now to get 10.
All right, good.
So I'm gonna start.
If you're ready,
I'm gonna start with The Cure with the Three Imaginary Boys.
Okay.
And then the Police with the Regatta de Blanc, Electric Sun with Earthquake, Fleetwood Mac with Tusk, and it was number 6 too, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Queen with Live Killers.
Nice choice. Nice choice.
Good
Great record.
album.
A lot of good live records in 1979, man.
I think it's the Queen's best live record. It's what they were on their peak in '79.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're going to move over to Connecticut and talk to Mr. James Delisle. How are you doing tonight, brother?
Very good. Very good. So in 1979, I was not born yet. I was
Okay.
1 year away from being earthed onto this fucking planet.
Be
So,
frightened of drones.
Yes. So my number 10 is going to be the debut album from Saxon.
Nice.
Good album. I was just listening to this earlier. I definitely like the second half of this record better. Stallions of the Highway, Backs to the Wall, Still Fit the Boogie, Militia Guard, all great songs. The opening on this is really cool with Rainbow Theme and Frozen Rainbow.
Love that song.
Killer, right? One of one of my favorite moments on this album is the song Big Teaser. From the first time I ever heard that song, I thought Biff Byford was singing She's a Dick Teaser. So I implore all of you on the panel and those of you watching to go and listen to that song, and you'll never hear it the same again. And I hope you laugh and think about me when you hear Biff singing She's a Dick Teaser. number 9 is Motorhead with Bomber. You know, I went back to this one a couple days ago, and boy, I forgot how like mid-paced this one is. There's really no like upbeat kind of thrashy ragers on this one, other than the title track is a little more upbeat. Not that it's a bad album, but it's definitely a Motorhead album I reach for kind of the least when it comes to the classic lineup of Lemmy and Phil and Eddie Clark. But there's some great tunes on here. I like Poison a lot. Stone Dead Forever is a fantastic song. All the Aces is great. Yeah, and the title track, killer stuff. So that's my number 9. Number 8, White Snake with Love Hunter. Honestly, this is one of the coolest album covers of all time. How do you not love that album art? And it's a good album. I like this era of White Snake a lot, the early stuff leading up to the 1987 album. Really like Bernie Marsden on guitar. Long Way From Home is a great opener. Walking in the Shadow of the Blues is one of my top favorite White Snake songs. It's a fucking fantastic tune. Medicine Man's a great one. And I love the title track. Love Hunter is fucking awesome. And Rock and Roll Lemon is a good tune too. So this is definitely recommended. White Snake with Love Hunter. 9, 8, 7. Number 7, we will go with Judas Priest, Hellbent for Leather. There's a little bit of drama, I guess, with this one. Some people consider it a 1978 release. Some people consider it a 1979 release.
Well, since you're in the United States, it came out in 79, but in the rest of the world, or Europe, it came out in 78. So yes.
Fair enough.
And it's called a different name. So.
Right.
Yeah. Killing Machine came out in 78.
Yeah.
But it came back in 79. It came out with Green Man Alicia, wasn't on Killing Machine.
That's
so
right.
Hellbent for Leather is 79 release with Green Man Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I love this album. Fucking really cool deep cuts on this one, man. I love Burning Up and the song Killing Machine and Evil Fantasies are all underrated killer Judas Priest songs that I don't know if they've I don't know if they've ever done any of those tunes live, but they should. They should bring them back out.
Way back
Killer
then.
album. And my number 6 is going to be Dynasty from Kiss.
Dynasty.
This album gets a lot of shit. Most people call it the disco album. And in my opinion, other than I Was Made for Loving You, there's really not too much disco on this, in my opinion. I find this just to be a good rock and roll album. Production's a little weak in spots. The guitars are a little thin. Same kind of production with the next album, Unmasked, but there's some great tunes on here. I like the cover of 2000 Man from the Rolling Stones. Sure Know Something is a fantastic tune. I really love Dirty Living. I think that's like one of my favorite Peter Criss tunes. And Charisma's a great one. And I like the ending track too, Save Your Love. It's good stuff. I love Kiss. Give me simple fucking tunes about having a good time and getting laid, and you got me right in the palm of your hands. And that's pretty much what Kiss is, and that's why I love them so much. So that's my number 6. And there you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Tony Dio, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. Yeah, this was kind of hard for me to put this list together. I do have some honorable mentions for a little later, but I'm going to start things off. Number 10, Scorpions, Love Drive.
Yeah.
Who couldn't? That's another great album cover. Of course, if you bought it at like some stores had to have that cover on it, the blue Scorpion, you know. But yeah, it's a great album. Michael Schenker plays all over it. He co-wrote several songs on here that he didn't get credit for. Yeah. And he'll tell you all about that if you ask him. And but it's just some great stuff on here. I mean, I love Another Piece of Me. Always Somewhere, such a great ballad. I mean, I love the instrumental Coast to Coast, which they always still play. I love to watch them when they play that live. And Klaus has a guitar and he comes out and he's just kind of strumming and posing. You know, it's great to see. Love the title track. Love Drive's great. Can't get enough. I never cared much for Is There Anybody There, because I'm not a fan of reggae, but that just sounds like a Bad Police song if you listen to it. But it's probably the weakest song on the album. But yeah, I mean, even the opening track, Loving in Sunday Morning, is a great one, and it ends with Holiday, which is great too. Number 9, Rainbow, Down to Earth, first album with the first and only album with Graham Bonnet on vocals. And I remember, when I had gotten into Dio, and I was getting, going and discovering Rainbow, and I got, the Dio, the 3 albums that Dio did with Rainbow. And for years, I just kind of avoided this because I remember hearing Since You've Been Gone and just for some reason just didn't like it. And but I got into Alcatraz. I liked Alcatraz. I was like, all right, I got to go back and check this record out. And I was thinking it's going to be all poppy, and it's a rocking record. I mean, All Night Long, of course, is the other, like, kind of like, poppy rock song on the album, which it rocks though. But I mean, there's a song here called Eyes of the World. And I could almost imagine Dio singing that song.
Yeah, right.
It was like that. I mean, it sounds like something that would have been on one of the Dio records. But Love's No Friends, Cool, Danger Zone. Well, Lost in Hollywood's probably my favorite song on this album. But it's great. It's just some great stuff. Great playing from Richie Blackmore on there. Going to next, I'm going to go Molly Hatchet, Flirting with Disaster.
Nice.
And another great record. I love my Southern rock, and I mean these guys, Triple Guitar Attack, just great songs. Whiskey Man, One Man's Pleasure. I mean, the title track, Flirting with Disaster, is just a classic. I mean, it's just rocking song. And Gunsmoke, Long Time, great songs on this one for sure. And gonna go next, Motorhead with Overkill. And yeah, just a great album. It's a smoking one. I think it's better to me than Bomber, which both came out the same year. Title track Overkill is great. I love Stay Clean with the bass solo in it and all. It's great. But yeah, Capricorn's always been a popular one, from a favorite of mine. I love No Class, great riff. They stole from ZZ Top on that one, but it's a great song. But right. Damage Case, Damage Case is on here. I mean, Tear You Down, Metropolis. I mean, God, it's just packed with great songs. And I think that is, I think that's it for me for is that what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five. The fifth one was or we're going to 5 or 6. 1, 2, 3.
Going 6.
6.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 6. It's going to be Harder, Faster by April Wine. And when I got into April Wine was their album after, which was Nature the Beast, and loved that one. And when I finally heard this one's actually become my favorite April Wine record. And it's just some cool songs on here, some poppy stuff on here as well with Babes in Arms and Say Hello and all. But I like the rock is what opens this album, and it's just a slamming song. And my favorite April Wine song ever, it's kind of a ballad. It's called Before the Dawn, and it's sung by Brian Greenway, the other guitarist, instead of Miles. And yeah, just a great song. I love this. And it's also got a great cover of 20th First Century Schizoid Man on this, the King Crimson classic. So yeah, so that's gonna be my first ones.
Cool. All right, we'll go to my center square. Looks like Denny Barth has showed up, but we don't see his friendly. We don't see his friendly's face. We just and he's on mute. So hopefully he's with us. But we're gonna go to our center.
I'll join in shortly. I'm just.
You're there. All right, good. Did you pick up Frank Marino from the airport?
Not yet.
Okay, good. All right. Ed Farsley, our center square. Let's hear your 10 through 6 tonight.
Sure. Yeah, 1979. I was 10 years old. So I was still a kid, but I was starting to grow into the man I am now. So it was a very fun year for me.
Me too.
Yeah, right? Good time, man. 1979 was a good time to be a 10-year-old.
Oh, yeah, man.
Man. Let's see here. Yeah, basically, I mean, I had already started developing my love of music. My mother was into 50s doo-wop. My father was into like Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Neil Diamond, stuff like that, and country music, which I didn't get into, but loved, definitely appreciated those musics from my parents. Started listening to the 60s, 70s rock and roll radio, which just grew from there, and the beginning stages of heavy metal. Started getting, discovering heavy metal around this time, 1979, and oh boy, did I love that. Let's see here. One thing that was when I was 10 years old, my parents had gotten WHT, which most people have probably never heard of and no idea what it is, but it was an early cable network back in the late 70s, similar to HBO, but it was cheaper and it was localized around New York City. So we'd get like first one, network movies about a year after they came out, concerts, musical programs, video EPs, stuff like that, which I'll mention a couple of them later in my countdowns. Even adult programming. I got to see my first nudie movies late at night. So it was good. WHT, Womeco Home Theater, it was called.
Wow.
I said early cable. Nobody knows what the fuck it was. I had it. It was great.
I don't know about it. Never heard of
it. Yeah, I mean, even you guys upstate New York didn't have it. It was just pretty New York City and a couple like major city markets in the country. So it was cool. Let's see. To quote Saxon for 1979, well, actually 2 years later when they did this, but where were you in 79 when the dam began to burst? I was right there in 79, discovering metal, and it was just fucking the greatest time, the absolute greatest time. Let's see, top 10. I've got a bunch of albums listed here. I'll go top 10. Mm-hmm. Number 10, Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes. One of the greatest 70s rock and roll bands, performers, writers. I love Tom Petty, always have. Seen him a bunch of times. Last time I got to see him was when he did the Mudcrutch tour, one of his last tours before he passed away. Just fucking phenomenal. This album, I mean, let's see here. Refugee, Here Comes a Girl, Even the Losers. Don't Do That. It's just, every song is fucking amazing. Number 9, ELO, Discovery. Band that I discovered on WHT. They had a video EP for this album. So I was watching that and just loved it. And I would tell my mother, well, it's a more progressive. It's a a friendlier, more sophisticated rock band because it's got orchestra in the name and have a violin player. So she was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Let's see, number 8. Got to bear with me. I didn't have time to put my stuff in order. Let's see. Number 8 will be the Eagles, the long one. Eagles, one of my all-time favorite classic rock bands. I've seen them a bunch of times. I saw them twice on the Hell Freezes Overtour and a whole bunch of times since then. This album is their last album, really. Well, not really. It was their last album before me 25 years later. Still a great record. Let's see here. In the City, the Joe Wall song from the Warriors. And I got to see the Warriors back in 1979 when it came out in the movies. My father started taking me to a couple R-rated movies back then, and so I got to see the Warriors in the movies. My all-time favorite fucking movie. So every time I hear In the City from either Joe Walsh or the Eagles, always think of the Warriors. Always think of the Warriors. Let's see, number 7 is gonna be. Check this list here.
Hey Ed, what about the song? What about the song "King of Hollywood"? That's on the long run. That is like so dark and haunting.
It really is.
I'd love to hear a metal band of some sort redo that. It's got those cool harmony leads. I mean, it's so cool.
That would be really cool to have a metal band do that. You're absolutely right. Yeah. That would be cool. That's definitely a different sound for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Number 7, Saxon, the debut album. I mean, I love Saxon. Saxon is one of my all-time favorite bands. Always has been. This album is a great debut. I mean, it's like kind of all over the place. It's like it's got some rock, it's got some metal. It's they're just kind of growing, but it's got that Saxon sound. Their vocals always sound great. The musicianship, the songwriting, it's Saxon. There's no hits on it. There's really nothing they play live anymore because it's just kind of old and obscure. But it's still a great record. Great fucking debut. Number 6. This one I got to read. The Kinks, Low Budget.
Wow.
Kinks are another phenomenal band. I got to see them live in 1995 and 96. Last time, one of the only times they ever toured the freaking country. And they were great. I mean, I love Low Budget. This is probably, next to Pink Floyd, my all-time favorite English rock band. More than the Stones, more than the Who, more than Led Zeppelin. I mean, I love all those bands, but the Kinks, I've always really related to the Kinks. I don't know why, but it's a great band. The next year later, they put out One for the Road, the live album. To this day, that's still one of my all-time favorite live albums. I got that album when it came out, and that was my first real introduction, aside from hearing the songs on the radio, was that album. So I memorized that album. I was 11 when that album came out, and Low Budget, fantastic album. Let's see. I think that's all I got. I don't know. I think I did 5, right?
Yeah, I believe you did. And
I'll go over the rest
tell you
later.
what, as we're taping this, we're in the holiday season, and King's got a cool Christmas song, man.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah.
That's a cool Christmas song, yeah. Give me your money. All right. Count Ralphus, hey, what's up, brother? Are you ready to kick? I know you were. I didn't give you the proper instructions. We threw it out.
No, you did. I went back and checked. It did say top 10, but I'm so used to it being top.
I know.
I'm so used to it being 5 because sometimes you got 12 people
Too
on
many
here,
people,
and if we were all doing 10. You never know until we start. We never know until we start how many
Ralph
people
has been too busy outside looking for the surveillance drones.
Yeah,
maybe you've been watching Space 1999.
Yeah.
So by number 10, I'm going to go with the first Accept album.
Wow. Okay.
This is like a double version of it, the way this one came out. But here's the original cassette. Back in the day.
Yeah.
But
cool song.
Yeah, this is great shit. So my number 9, I'm gonna go Led Zeppelin In Through the Outdoor.
Okay.
Not my favorite Zeppelin album, but there's a lot of great songs on here. Then I'm gonna go number 8. I'll go Saxon's first album.
Okay.
I didn't get this until years later after it came out. I wasn't listening to Saxon in 79.
Yeah.
I still only had really Kiss albums pretty much back then, and some Beatles and Stones and Queen. But then I'm gonna go number 7. I'm gonna go Van Halen 2.
Nice.
It's almost made my top 5. It's kind of switching in and out, going through all this, but And my number 6 will be Thin Lizzy Black Rose, which I don't have
Okay.
a copy right
Yeah.
here, but that's another just great album. Band that I didn't find till decades later. But if I would have had that back in the day when it came out, it'd be higher up on my list. But that's my first 5.
Cool. Brad, are you ready? How's it going? We good to have Brad Mader back in the Rock Fantasy Files. He's got his guitar. He's going to play his songs. He's going to play a song from each album on his guitar.
We
All
got
right,
we got to
it's gonna be
get we got
very
to guess
loud,
the
and you're
riff.
probably not gonna be able to understand what I'm playing. So, yeah, I've been kind of changing them out a little bit too after hearing what people are saying. I really do love that Molly Hatchet album. I had that thing. I played the shit out of that album, Flirting with Disaster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, it's
And
Guitar Mageddon, man.
yeah, it was something. It's the only album of that type that I ever owned. I never had any Leonard Skinner or any of that Southern rock star. It was only Molly Hatchet, and I had Flirting with Disaster and Beating the Odds, and that was the only two I ever had.
Yeah,
But
Beating
those
the
two
Odds is my
albums I
favorite.
just thought were so like
Hell
even
yeah.
for Southern rock, they just
Yeah.
drove like
Yeah,
it was
heavy.
so good. Yeah, I really like those two. And then Ralph said the Accept album, which I forgot about, and yeah, I had that too. I thought that Accept album was really good. So that'll be what 10, 9.
Yeah.
I'll do 5 because I'm pretty lame when it comes to this shit. 79, I wasn't really into music yet. I didn't start playing guitar until I was like 12. So, music to me was just like whatever was on the radio, But, when I got into music, I started backtracking to all this shit,
Yeah.
AC/DC Highway to Hell. I mean, I became a big AC/DC fan. I had, obviously the Black album or Back in Black, and then I started backtracking from there. Always liked Highway to Hell, Motorhead, Overkill.
Yep.
What we got there? Oh, Scorpions, Love Drive.
Yep.
Another great album. I believe, played the shit out of that album too. It was really good. And Van Halen too was actually my first Van Halen album I ever owned.
Cool.
So I was I was on the one show. I was looking, someone played Van Halen. I was looking for the album. And I thought that was it, and I ended up grabbing that one instead of the first one. Yeah, yeah, it's Eddie Van Halen. What can you say? And then Priest, Judas Priest Unleashed in the East. I became a huge Priest fan.
Oh yeah.
And that live album was just I thought it was killer. It just really got me into the band. So
okay,
that'll do it for me, man. I mean,
that's
I could
good.
go on with everybody, pretty much whatever. Zeppelin, Into the Outdoor, another great album.
So you did more than 5 already. So
yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. So I guess I'll go next because I don't think Denny's ready yet. He hasn't popped in. So I'll do my 10.
We can go if you want. I can do these one like the first 5 off camera, and I'll be on camera after.
All right. So what I'll do, I'll go, and then I'll have you close it out for us on the first round. How's that, Denny?
Cool, man.
So I didn't. We were talking about Rainbow with Down to Earth, and a couple of those songs to me are really played out. The ones that he was talking about, and I tell you what, if you ever put Boneyard on, which sometimes I do at work, and sometimes I just do around the house, just to put music on in the background, they play Since You've Been Gone every 3 hours. So,
Oh yeah,
they really do. But
they really fucking do.
I remember driving to the Pocono Downs Jam. It's like it's funny how you can go back and you listen to an album and you go, wow, I remember the first time I listened to that. Me and my buddy were driving to this metal or rock festival in Pocono at the Pocono Downs Raceway in '79, which was it was like going to Woodstock for us. It was like the second biggest thing I went to. It was Scorpions were there and they were on tour, and we talk about the Love Drive album. That was the first album they toured in the States on. So that's why for years they didn't play anything past that, before that, in the States, because Claus used to talk about that. Well, we didn't want to play that stuff because we never promoted it. But Pocono Downs Jam, I'd have to pull up. Maybe I'll Google it next time I come around and tell you that lineup. It was crazy. It was in this old grandstand we were in, and there was glass bottles raining down from the top of the grandstand, cutting people. M80s. Blackfoot was there, Ted Nugent, Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush. It was just a killer time, and it was like we thought we were we thought we were badasses going to the show. We were a little nervous, but me and my buddy from high school, we were like we're running around with all these crazy people camping for miles away. It was cool. I'm going to start out number 10, and no one's mentioned this yet. Maybe they will in their second and in the top fives, but I'm going to go with a lot of stuff that I listened to that year, and some stuff I found out a little bit later I am not putting on the list or putting on down lower. Number 10, though, I listened to this album a ton because I've seen Cheap Trick a couple times by then. Cheap Trick, The Dream Police.
Oh,
Yeah, I had that down too. Shit, man.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the title
good
track, of course, Gonna Raise Hell.
yeah.
It was just an album. And, this is back in 8-track days. So this was like, you pop the 8-track in the deck in your car, and it goes round and round and round. And sometimes you don't pull it out. You can say, oh, I had that 8-track in there for 2 weeks. But number 10 for me is Cheap Trick with the Dream Police. Number 9 is an album that I did not listen to then. And I kind of was doing this the other way around, but I got to put it in my top 10 is Motorhead Overkill. I went between Bomber and Overkill. I like Overkill a lot more. People have talked about it already. So I'm going to number 9, Motorhead Overkill. Where is my number 8? My number 8, I did not listen to AC/DC in 79 yet either. I didn't really discover them until 1980 for some reason or another. But number 8, I'm going to go with Highway to Hell. Of course, Girls Got Rhythm, Touch Too Much, Night Prowler.
Oh,
great. It could be the number 1 album of the year, but it's just, I mean, a killer. And Ralph's wearing the T-shirt and everything else. Number 7 from that year, it's the first of what I think is a lot of amazing live albums for that year. The Queen Live Killers. I remember just listening to that all the time, and like all the girls that I knew back then. I remember going to a house party on the block behind me and going to this house. It was a girl I really liked at the time, but we were all hanging out at her house, drinking, partying, and all she did was play Queen, and she big Queen fan, and she was playing that Queen Live Killers. We all had the 8-tracks, Death on Tape, 2 Legs, Sheer Heart Attack, Don't Stop Me Now, Love of My Car, Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, it was such a great album.
Solid, Rick.
just tap her at once. Bam, no doubt.
Yeah. Number 6, another album. I think it's another live album. It's from the band UFO, Strangers in the Night. I think it's one of the best live albums ever recorded. And it's hard to pick out songs from this album, but I mean, I was listening to this when I was working on this. I went to the gym yesterday. I was listening to that album, and that's how it's recorded. Everything else, Doctor, Rock Bottom, Natural Thing. It's just such a great record. And I haven't listened to it in a while in the back, but I remember that's like a staple. Of course, it plays in my store all the time because I have a iPod dock in the back of my store where the pinball rooms are. And a lot of these albums are in there and just everything's on shuffle. But that's my number 6. So I'll return with my 5 through. And we're going to go to Denny. Hey, Denny, you missed my monologue tonight. I was talking about Formula One, and your relative, Mr. Villeneuve, was mentioned tonight. Doc.
Very nice. Oh, Jacques or Gilles? Which one?
It must have been where my notes I already threw somewhere else, but it was.
It's got to be Gilles.
Yeah, it has to be Bill. Yeah, it has to be Bill. Yeah. So he, it was the, Jody Scheckter won the drivers' championship with teammate Gil Villeneuve in 2nd place.
Yeah.
So.
I gotta find that picture of me at the Gilles Villeneuve funerals, standing in between the Prime Minister of Canada and the Prime Minister of the province of Quebec, looking like an absolute metalhead.
I think that should be your profile picture, my friend.
Yeah,
I know. I have to find it. It's such a my family making fun of it, but yeah, I think I need to find it.
So for those listening that didn't know, how was he? How were you related to him?
He's married with my cousin Joanne. So
Okay.
Joanne
Yeah.
first last name is Joanne Bart, same
Mm-hmm.
as me, and
Yeah.
he was married with her. So we used to go to like Christmas parties at my aunt's house, and he was there, and he would take me and Jacques. Jacques is like 5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
He would take the two kids on the back seat of his freaking whatever car he was driving and racing through the snow to go get milk at the convenience store the quickest amount of time you can think of. Getting stopped by the cop and like totally letting him go. So good memory of
Yeah.
kind of a crazy childhood I had. But yeah, he was part of it.
That's just an amazing story. You've got so many amazing stories. It's an honor to have you part of the channel. I mean, you between growing up with Frank Marino being your next door neighbor, the backyard neighbor, and yeah, just good stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
All right, so start off with your 10 through 6 tonight, Danny.
Yeah, just a quick note of 1979. Like for me, it was definitely the transition from like styrofoam and cardboard guitars to real guitars. And when I made the pact to become a fucking rock musician and all that, but everything changed for me that year. Like as you're trying to learn to play instruments, it was definitely like like something that it was 1979 to me was like I would think about I was 13 years old and everything was new, everything was shiny, everything was awesome, and I love everything about 1979. We'll talk about that a little bit later. My 10 to 6, I'll go like number 10. I'm gonna go with Triumph, Just a Game. Um,
Okay.
I really like this album for I love Laid It on the Line. I think it's a great tune. I love Just a Game, Hold On, Moving On. Triumph was like the poor boy Rush whatever band. Like they were just not as known as Rush or as proficient maybe, but they definitely were great. And it's the same as Frank Zappa said about like Grand Funk Railroad, like good singing, good playing. Like these guys were great singers, great harmonies. Rick Emmett, the guitar playing and everything. So I never talk about Triumphs too much, but I did when I was younger. It was an important band for me, and that Just a Game album was very important. Um, then I have two Southern rock album in a row because I want to be with my buddy Tony Dio and
Cool.
continue that bonding. But I got Blackfoot Strikes.
Yeah.
Really like that album. I like Road Fever. I
Oh.
like Left Turn on a Red Light. Highway, Highway Song. Wishing Well, that free cover. Train with Shorty Medlock. Like I
Oh yeah.
really, 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 really enjoy Strikes. I think it's a great record. Lots of guitars. Next, same as Tony, Molly Hatchet. I'm a big fan. I know a lot of fucking people don't like him. I don't give a fuck. Molly Hatchet, Flirting with Disaster. My favorite Molly Hatchet song is Long Time. I think it's the fourth song on the second side. And that's the first song I really put down with the vinyl and tried to figure out the riff, which I finally learned how to play correctly like 40 years later. But yeah, love Flynn with the Disaster. Also, after that, I got Thin Lizzy, Black Rose. Um, Not my favorite Thin Lizzy album, but I love Toughest Street in Town. I love Waiting for an Alibi. And it's hard not to put a Tin Lizzy album inside that top 10. You can't not do it. And then after that, I got like ACDC, Highway to Hell. Like it's if I remove my like I'm a fucking metalhead and I'm tough and like I only listen to tough music, blah blah blah. It's a 10 out of 10 record. There's not a bad song on that record. Even like Touch Too Much or Girls Got Rhythm. So well written and so well done. It's the production, everything everything is perfect on that record. Yeah, and the other note, like, so that's I had 5, right? Yeah. So it's like the other thing I wanted to mention, and I didn't want to put like Unleashing the Heat, Strangers in the Night, Pat Travers, Go for What You Know, or Tease Tour of Japan, because it's almost not fair for the other record in the selection. There's no fucking album on there that can beat Unleashing the East or Strangers in That. Yeah, from my personal perspective, it's not even a fair fight.
I agree.
So I took them out on purpose because, anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, that's my first 5 record.
Cool. So yeah, I'm looking up. I was mentioning that show that I went to, the Pocono Downs Jam. It was August 19th, 1979. Of course, 45 years ago. And it seemed like more bands were here than this, but it was Ted Nugent, the Henry Paul Band, of course, from the Outlaws. I think he just split off. Edgar Winter was there. Mahogany Rush, Blackfoot, the Scorpions, and a band called Falcon Eddie. The tickets were $12.50.
Damn.
Nice.
Give me a time machine.
And Uncle Ted was the headliner, of course.
Of course.
So that was when I was listening to Down to Earth driving, and it was still like dark out. It was like in the morning. We're going to this show. We have to get there early and find a place to park. Then we know we're getting there because miles away there's like people camping and hippies and shit, and we're like, I guess we're at the right place. Now we got to figure out how to park. 2 high school kids. So anyhow, let's kick it back to Ovi for the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Right. So my number 5 is gonna be our good friend David Bowie with The Lodger. It's the album that's I think it's one of his best albums, but it's kind of lost between Heroes and the Monsters album because they were so big. But The Lodger is a really cool experimental album. It's out there, but when you start to listen to it, there's a lot of cool stuff on it. All right.
Okay. Yep.
And for number 4, I remember I got this on cassette when I was maybe 10 or something. I was staying at my mom's best friend's house, and her son was quite older, and he had some cassettes, and I got to listen to them. And this one was one of them, and that's ZZ Top's Jugello.
Wow, I forgot all about that album.
Yeah.
So did I. Yeah.
Yeah, Jugello is awesome. Look
cool
at that
album
artwork.
cover too. Yeah,
look at that
cool.
artwork. There's no wonder I didn't get it.
It's like a spaghetti western album cover.
Yeah, but it's like I didn't understand English back then, but so I didn't quite get lyrics for "I Thank You." But I got it now.
Yeah.
She didn't have to squeeze it, but she did. Number 3, I'm going to go with BOC with Mirrors. It's an album I think is kind of lost between 2 bigger albums again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, for me, I know it's not as a rocking album as the other ones, but yeah, I think it shows diversity, shows like a different side of the band, kind of like it really shows the vocal power of Eric Bloom and kind of like Eric and the harmonies and everything. I think it deserves a better shot than it got.
The Vigil's a great song.
Yes, it is.
It's not one of my favorite albums by them, but I like the album.
Yeah.
I like Cultosaurus Erectus better. That came out the year after.
Yeah, it's a fantastic album.
Yeah.
And number 2, I'm gonna do a little killer. I'm gonna cheat.
Cheat.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in the soundtrack for Alien.
Wow. That's cheat.
It's an album. It was released. Yeah.
Oh, you sure are cheating now.
Yeah. I mean, when you listen to that Alien soundtrack album, you can almost see the movie.
There's no law against picking a soundtrack or picking a live album. No, not at all.
No.
But the Alien soundtrack, it's so ominous. It's so like, I don't know. It's one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard because it's so effective and it's so simple in a way, but it's so effective. You can watch the movie in your head while listening to that soundtrack.
And it was by far the best movie of the year.
Yeah, it's also been released now in expanded edition where you have like all the music through the whole movie, so you can, and it's in alphabetical or in the running order of the movie, which the original soundtrack isn't. But the new one, like it's like from A to C, so it's like you can basically watch the movie in your head, lying in the dark. For my number one, I'm going to go with my favorite album of the band, and it's going to be Motorhead with Bomber.
Wow.
And my favorite song is Sweet Revenge. That's my favorite Motorhead song ever.
Cool.
It's a great one.
So it's in a way to describe how to kill a cheating girlfriend.
Uh-oh.
To have a sweet revenge.
Crizian does a sick cover of that song too.
Do they?
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Shout out.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because the song is like, obviously he has put her out of her misery, but it's like he's still talking to her after she has left the plane.
Cool. James, what do you got? You're good, right, Obi? That was your number one.
Good.
I
just want to say, James, for the first time, he has a heavier soundtrack than me, and he has a heavier shirt than me, so he's heavier than me tonight.
Oh shit! Look at that.
Yeah.
So real quick, you guys were talking about UFO Strangers in the Night.
Sure.
The live, audience sound from that was used on the Guns N' Roses Live Like a Suicide EP.
Was it?
I got all the album, all the concerts.
Yeah, GNR were big fans of that live album, and it's not a live quote unquote EP, the Live Like a Suicide thing. It's all studio jams. So they did a studio jam and then threw the live audience sounds from Strangers in the Night
from
over
1978.
That's crazy.
So there's your fucking little stupid factoid from me for the evening.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me is going to be ZZ Top, Deguelo.
Yes.
Killer from beginning to end. I thank you. She loves my automobile. So good. I'm bad. I'm nationwide. Cheap sunglasses.
Yeah.
My top favorite ZZ Top songs. And actually, one of my favorite Doom bands, The Sword, does a killer cover of that.
Yeah.
And Fool for Your Stockings. Manic Mechanic is a cool, crazy little fucking track in there. Dust My Broom. Excellent. Excellent.
Keep on dusting.
Excellent ZZ Top album. That's my number 5.
Excellent choice.
Number 4, AC/DC Highway to Hell. We've all fucking talked about it. We've all worshipped it. It's just killer. Shot Down in Flames, one of my favorite songs on this. Night Prowler. And Touch Too Much is probably one of my top 5 favorite AC/DC songs.
It's so good.
Excellent. Number 3, the mighty Van Halen with Van Halen 2. So badass. So good. You're No Good, which is, I didn't know for a long time that is a Linda Ronstadt cover. Had no idea.
Oh yeah, that was a hit for Linda. Yes, earlier in the 70s. Yep.
Only tune on this that I'm not that crazy about because it's a little wimpy is Dance the Night Away.
Great song, though. Another cover.
Everything else on this is just awesome, man. Somebody Get Me a Doctor. Bottoms Up. Out of Love. Light Up the Sky is so good.
That album's a party in a plastic case, man.
It really is, man. DOA, again, another top, probably 5 to 10 Van Halen song for me. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen.
Light
They
up.
wrote it. They did
Yeah.
write it, Steve. It's not a cover. They wrote that song.
That's right. Oh shit! I was thinking of.
You're thinking about dancing in the
Yeah,
streets,
that's
probably.
what I'm thinking. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks for correcting me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2, Motorhead Overkill.
Mm-hmm.
I waxed poetically about this album when we did the Motorhead episode.
Yeah.
It's my top favorite Motorhead album. For me, this is the beginning. This is the seeds being planted for thrash metal. Everything on this rips. Title track rips. Stay Clean. We talked about No Class. How that is a ZZ Top riff.
Yeah.
Damage Case, one of my top favorite Motorhead songs. Just a great album. And Limb from Limb. Come on.
Yeah. With Lemmy on guitar, too.
Killer. Killer album. So that's
Lemmy
my
loved
2.
ZZ Top. Lemmy really loved ZZ Top.
For sure.
Yes, he
yeah.
did.
He was like very open about it.
Absolutely. And my number 1 is going to be Unleashed in the East, Judas Priest. My favorite live album of all time. Great tracks. And the cover art is they just look so metal on this album cover. I love sitting and listening to this one and just staring at the fucking pictures of them jamming live. It's so good. I mean, everything up to all the greatest tracks up to Killing Machine or Hellbent for Leather is on this. The version of the Ripper is fucking amazing here. Diamonds and Rust. I've always loved that cover. Victim of Changes. I mean, it's just, if you don't have this in your collection, you're fucking up. Get it. It's an incredible album. And that's my number 1.
The fun thing about that, if you look at Queen on the same tour, like in '79, Freddie Mercury too has leather pants, leather jacket, leather hat, and leather sunglasses, just like Rob Halford.
Yeah, the covers are kind of similar for both albums, for the Queen album and this one.
Yeah,
Rob and Freddie were checking each other out.
Maybe
in the certain clubs. There's actually in Rob Halford's book. There's a whole like section where he talks about at a club and seeing Freddie from far away, and Freddie looking at him and smiling and kind of like recognized each other. Yeah,
ball to the wall.
But like the metalheads didn't even think that way about Rob, but you kind of yeah, back then you didn't.
Freddie recognized what he was.
Yeah. Being in that age and being in that era, yeah.
I can't imagine standing in the bathroom.
They were like, he's like a biker. But then Freddie were like, oh yeah, Freddie. Cool. Tony Dio.
Okay, yeah, I'm surprised I forgot about that ZZ Top record. I was into ZZ Top back then, but I wasn't that familiar with that record at the time. I just remember my friend having DeGuayo and what was it? Not DeGuayo, but had Tres Hombres and Fandango. And
Fandango.
I was more in at that time at 10 years old, man. I was like all into Star Wars, Dukes of Hazzard, still into Kiss. Rate anything that was on the radio, rock and roll on the radio, and a couple of years for me to really start to getting into the metal thing. But once I did, I'm going to go back to my list here with top 5. My top 5, my number 5 is one James just picked, Unleashed in the East.
Yeah.
One of my favorite live albums as well. It's great. This is the Japanese one called Priest in the East that came with the bonus tracks on a 7-inch single. And
nice.
I love that album. Love this album cover too. It's just it's classic. You see KK, he's kind of covered it with the Obi there, but that was a stage photo. They didn't even have a drummer at the time, so they just tried to cover up the drums with a lot of smoke.
Oh shit!
Yeah, but didn't have a drummer at the time. But yeah, I mean, all the classics, just like James said, everything's on here, man. I mean, from Exciter, Running Wild Center, Victim of Changes, to, this one has, the extra tracks on it, of course, Rock Forever, Delivering the Goods, Hellbent for Leather. But yeah, just a fantastic live album. Love it.
have
Going
a
to
UK
another
one too?
live album. One of my favorites is Stranger Than the Night from UFO. This is the album that made me fall in love with not only UFO, but Michael Schenker. My introduction to UFO was just live, hearing a couple of tracks from the early days, pre-Schenker stuff on a compilation. And I think the first thing I ever bought by UFO was this live in Japan. And it was the original band, the classic, the band, I think Mick Bolton on guitar. And it was just like boogie rock. It didn't do a whole lot for me, kind of spacey at times. But a friend of mine, I was at his house, and he's telling me about UFO, and he gave me a couple UFO records to take home. He actually gave me a couple of the Paul Chapman period UFO records, and he gave me this to take home. And I was just like blown away. I loved it. And I think the next thing, I went out the next week and got Phenomena, and just been a massive fan ever since. And here's that box set like Obi was showing a while ago that came out a couple years ago. It's got all 6 shows that they used to combine to make this album, and just some really cool stuff. Moving on from there, gonna go Highway to Hell. I just love this record. One of the best AC/DC records. You got a couple of different versions on it. There's the flame cover.
Oh, the Australian one. Yeah, nice.
And of course, the single for Touch Too Much.
Nice.
My favorite song on the album, probably. I mean, I've said it before, man. When you listen to Touch Too Much, that's the magic of Mutt Lange. I mean, there's no other song that sounds like Touch Too Much. And you hear the demo, it sounds kind of like basic AC/DC, kind of, the boogie rock, the Chuck Berry type stuff. And then Mutt took it in there and made like a hit single out of it,
Yeah.
And just so many great songs on this one, though, man. If You Want Blood, Shot Down in Flames, Girls That Got Rhythm, Beating Around the Bush, just title track, Highway to Hell, one of the most classic opening riffs ever. When you hear that, everybody knows what it is, when you hear that. From there, I'm going to go Van Halen 2. We talked about Dance the Night Away a while ago. There's a single. This was the first Van Halen I ever got, actually. It was probably 1982. I went on a field trip, and I had been hearing stuff from Diver Down on the radio, like Dancing in the Street was being played on the radio, and I had heard some Van Halen before, and I was just kind of blown away with what it was, but I didn't actually own anything. And a guy on a field trip, he had it on cassette, and we ended up swapping. I had a cassette that just had a bunch of stuff taped off the radio and stuff, and we swapped, and it's like, wow, this is the first Van Halen I actually own, so I kind of just went from there. And I even have that one since it's 1979. I got it on 8-track.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So just so many classics on there. It's a dark record too. I mean, you talk about that just kind of like dark. I mean, compared to the first album, I mean, with You're No Good and I mean, one of my favorite songs from Van Halen, period. Probably is my favorite song, is Light Up the Sky. It's from this album.
Yeah.
Just love that one, man. And, DOA, I love that riff in that song. It's just a great one too, But Out of Love Again, it's just so much heaviness about this record. So my number one is going to be Thin Lizzy, Black Rose.
Wow.
And I just love this record. I mean, when I fell in love with Thin Lizzy, I discovered them with Thunder and Lightning, and then kind of went back from there. And this was the one that just kind of rose to the top as my favorite. I mean, Gary Moore's one of my favorite guitarists, and he was one of the guitarists on this record. It's just a great hard rock record. I mean, Do Anything You Want To is a great song. I mean, Toughest Street in Town, S&M, Waiting for an Alibi, which here's a single for that. That's my favorite Thin Lizzy song ever, is Waiting for an Alibi. And Got to Give It Up, another great one. I mean, there's Phil calling out for help, in that song. Just, when you really look back at it, Get Out of Here is great. I mean, the Black Rose, Rose and Dove Black Rose is a great, just epic song. I've got so many versions of this record that I own. I mean, there's my Japanese version. I've got this Anniversary that came out Record Store Day in Europe. It's pretty hard to find. And I even got my original U.S. pressing, but you see it's autographed by Scott Gorham at the top.
Nice.
And I've got numerous CD versions, and I even have it on 8-track.
Nice.
That's fucking sick.
Just one of my favorite records of all time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. That's an amazing collection. But Waiting for an Alibi better than Emerald?
I love Emerald, but Waiting for an Alibi is like my favorite song by Thin Lizzy. I love it. And there's a version. A lot of people don't know there's a version of that song with an extra verse in it. And when they did the deluxe edition of the CD and the vinyl, they didn't even include that. It's like they totally forgot about it. It's only on like a couple of compilation records like Dedication and the Japanese Thin Lizzy album. It's just that the version that's on there, it's got an extra verse in it. It's funny how, the fans sometimes know more about the band's history than the band. When they start implying some of these albums, they leave out stuff. And they're like, hey, you forgot to put so-and-so on there, But yeah, I love that record. Great record. Awesome. And a lot of the honorable mentions that I was going to mention, like the Triumph and the Blackfoot and the Whitesnake, Love Hunter. I know you guys mentioned that, and I got to throw Dynasty in there as an honorable mention. I do like this record. It's not my favorite Kiss record, but and I got to throw Narita from Riot in there as well. It's not one of the best Riot records, but it's some great songs like Road Racing and 49 are on that one.
Yeah, I knew you'd pull that out.
Not as good as the first album and not as good as Fire Down Under, but some good songs.
No, I know you're a big Riot fan, so I just figured he'll be pulling that one out.
Yeah.
I was thinking about UFO because one of the first concerts I ever saw was at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. It was UFO, Pat Travers, and Cheap Trick. It was December.
Wow, what a lineup. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. That was December 14th, 1978.
Wow.
And I didn't really know who UFO was.
We went for Victims of the Fury tour.
We went for Cheap Trick, and because my friends were obsessed with Cheap Trick. Kathy, who's gone now, she passed away a few years ago, and her boyfriend Bill went. And Kathy actually ran up we were probably 30, 40 rows back. And Kathy actually ran and tried to run the stage to tackle like Robin Zander. She was obsessed with it. But I remember that night for sure. And there's Denny Barth that's turned into Santa Claus.
There he is.
Maybe
Hey Steve, was Michael Schenker playing that show? Was it Paul Chapman?
That's a great question because I don't remember. I mean, that's something we'd have to Google. Was he playing?
Yeah, he was.
Was he playing for UFO?
Yeah, he was in and out. Yeah, he was in and out so much around that period.
Yeah, was he there? I don't remember. That's something you'd have to try to Google maybe to see if he was with them in December of '78 or not. Yep. All right. So Denny Barth is looking like bad Santa. But anyhow.
Christmas Evil.
Santa Squatch.
I just watched the film last night because I had nothing better to do. My wife and I watched the new Jack Black Santa movie. What wasn't
Dear Satan or whatever.
Yeah, because the kid's dyslexic and he writes the letter to Dear Satan. And
I watched it.
It wasn't very good. It was okay. Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
All right, so Ed, let's hear your 5 through 1.
All right. Number 5, Scorpions, Love Drive. Love the Scorpions. First band I ever saw live was the Scorpions in 1984. Wow. Blackout was probably my first album that I just absolutely loved. But I was getting Scorpions, one of the first bands I discovered in the late 70s. I don't remember what album it was. It might have been Fight of the Rainbow or something. But I remember just really getting into them, and it had such a back catalog that I would collect all their albums, and I loved all this. I loved the Michael Schenker album, loved the Ulai albums, loved all the 70s, all the 80s albums. It's a great album. Love Drive is probably my third favorite Scorpions album. Holiday is my favorite Scorpion song. So
great song.
I fucking love that song. And just the whole album is great. Let's see. Number 4, Motorhead, Overkill. We've all talked about Overkill. got into Overkill when we did the Motorhead special. I flip-flopped between this and Another Perfect Day as far as my all-time favorite Motorhead albums. And Overkill is still on that top of that list right now. Just every song's fucking fantastic. We don't have to go into that anymore. Number 3, Cheap Trick, The Dream Police. Cheap Trick are my all-time favorite rock and roll band. Fucking best live band of all time. I've seen them lots of times. They always do a different set. They're the best band live of all time because they always play a different set every night of the tour. Can't beat that from anybody. And they always sound great. They still sound great today. And this is one of their best albums by far. In Color is probably my favorite Cheap Trick album because it's the first album I really, really got into when it came out. And Dream Police is just absolutely phenomenal. Just, again, I go into every song. I love the band so much. Number 2, AC/DC, Highway to Hell. What can I say about AC/DC? I mean, my God. I remember I think I was in 5th grade probably at this time, 5th, 6th grade. I remember seeing AC/DC scratched on this cute girl in my class and the cool guy in my class. AC/DC and some song titles written on their books. And I was like, ooh, I got to discover them. And I read about them in magazines and ended up going out. And Highway to Hell was the first album I picked up. And that's the first metal album I ever owned. I had a Black Sabbath 7-inch before that, but that's the first metal album I ever owned. And I fucking love that album. I mean, that album, every song on that album is absolutely perfect. It's just, it's my favorite AC/DC album to this day. It's just absolutely amazing. And we talked about great albums, like my favorite album of all time, The Wall. I mean, Pink Floyd, I said Cheap Trick is my all-time favorite rock and roll band, favorite live band. Pink Floyd is my all-time favorite anything band. I mean, I love everything that band has ever done, from the first album to the very last album, every incarnation, everything they've ever done. And The Wall is the greatest concept album of all time. I couldn't begin to tell you the thousands, literally thousands of times I've probably listened to that album over the years. I can't go a couple of weeks without listening to that album. Even today, I mean, I 2 weeks ago, I was going on YouTube, found the concert from England that was enhanced to have a couple different versions, and the live album, which I have, the live bootleg album from that tour, spliced together. So it was a really cool live video. Beats all the bootlegs I've watched in the past, but I had to watch that. Today I'm doing the research. Instead of going to sleep, I had to listen to The Wall, start to finish again. Got baked out of my mind, and I can't go. I mean, in the movie I've seen probably as many times as I've listened to the album.
Wow.
I mean, for probably about 6-7 months, I literally, every second I was in my room, I had that album, I had that movie on. I'd walk in my room, press play, go to sleep, press play. And it was just constantly, just for months. And I fucking love that album. I love that band. And I could go on for hours about Pink Floyd and The Wall, but I won't. I'll go from there. A couple honorable mentions that haven't been mentioned yet, I definitely want to bring up. Hang on a second. Let's see here. Okay, we mentioned Accept. Blondie, E to the Beat.
Okay.
I love Blondie. I love Blondie. And this was another one on that Womeco Home Theater cable network that had an E to the Beat EP. So I had heard Blondie on the radio, and then I saw this, and I fucking just in love with the band. I love that album. Van Halen 2, we mentioned. Candio from the Cars.
Yeah.
Basically, the blueprint of what became the 80s new wave scene.
Yeah, that was a good album.
Cars is just fantastic. Breakfast in America from Supertramp. I know somebody mentioned them before. I love Supertramp when this album came out. For whatever reason,
huge records from that year.
It embraced me. Yeah, so many hits. Pat Benatar, In the Heat of the Night, great debut. Styx, Cornerstone.
Yeah,
not a very good album, but fucking I forget the name of the song. One fantastic song on that album. I wrote it down. I don't remember it now. Let's see. Neil Diamond, September Morn.
We're getting heavy now.
I mean, I'm not a huge Neil Diamond fan. My father loved him, so I listened to him a lot growing up. And nowadays, I appreciate him and like him a lot more than I did back then. But this is definitely a good album. Triumph, Rainbow, ZZ Top, and Unleashed in the East. Yes, one of the greatest live albums of all time. And my first Judas Priest album that I got like the next year. That's it for 1979. Great fucking year. I love being 10 year that year. Great times.
I was older than 10. But...
Yes, you were.
Wow, you're saying I'm older than you?
You're a little bit older than me. I can't say that about that many
I was
people.
18. But you think you go back in your mind to that year,
Good
and
age.
I remember like the kids, like some of the ones that went to see the Wall tour, and like coming back and talking about how crazy that was, how good it was. But you put your mind back, and that's what's great about doing these shows, about reminiscing, about being young again.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, I've noticed within the past like 3-4 years,
Yeah.
Supertramp has been brought up a couple times with that Breakfast in America. That album's had a fucking renaissance. Like, I can't keep that album in stock in my store.
Yeah, that album sells really well for me too. I mean, it's right there with like Fleetwood Mac Rumors.
Yes.
Rumors
I can't keep in stock either.
For some reason, when I was doing research for this episode, I was trying to look up, the top 10, which I found for 79, and I came across our current top 200, and Fleetwood Mac Rumors is still in the top 200 albums. Currently Billboard.
Yep. That's right.
So, like, kids come in, buy that Fleetwood Mac, and what else is in the top 200? System of a Down, Toxicity. Which I can't keep that in stock either. And now, I mean,
a lot of people like bad music,
and now they're on tour and they're sold out. Fleetwood Mac, and so I have to disagree. I love System of a Down.
I was not
the worst bands I've ever
sat through. You caught me off guard, so that was awesome.
It's amazing. They sold. I didn't think they'd sell out Giant Stadium.
Me neither. That's what I said. I was like, wow.
Now, when they first
don't like
when they first came out, I thought it was kind of gimmicky with Sugar and all that. But I mean, Sugar was actually a pretty heavy song when you listen to it now. But I thought the same thing. I was like, this is gonna be a flash in a pan band.
The Toxicity album is such a
Toxicity just
sing along
through the freaking roof, man.
But anyhow, we're way off the topic. We're talking about it's a different year, but I can.
You brought it up.
No, I know. I can mention, we're talking about records that sell in our record store because we both go to record stores. But an album that my store is named after came out in '79 that no one's mentioned before we go over to Count Ralphus is Bad Company, Desolation Angel, because
Rock and Roll Fantasy.
When I first thought about opening Rock Fantasy, it was a cross between Black Sabbath, Rock and Roll Doctor, which I really wish I would have went with, but I went with Rock and Roll Fantasy because I felt that because it was taboo then. Rock and Roll Doctor and Playing Yourself Pipes were completely taboo in 1979. So I went with Rock and Roll Fantasy. When we first had my first store, which I explained in the beginning, that's what it was called, Rock and Roll Fantasy. Then when we run out of business, we reopened in '85. We just cut it to Rock Fantasy. So Bad Company we went with, but I would have loved to be called Rock and Roll Doctor, but I guess it rolls over Rock Fantasy, Rock and Roll Doctor. So it could have been, we could all been on the Rock and Roll Doctor files tonight.
Yeah, but Steve, how long you been in business? I think you chose the right name.
I guess. Because we might have got rated more with Rock and Roll Doctor.
I think it worked out. I think it worked out for you, man.
Yes, it did.
And Ed, you were talking about a 7-inch from Black Sabbath. I remember I had a jukebox in my room at that time period, and there was a 45 of Black Sabbath that they put out from the album because Hard Road was the B-side to it. I'm trying to think.
Probably Dirty Women.
What's it, Dirty Women? It might have been. That's a question.
I think it might have been.
That's a trivia question because
was it Never Say Die?
It might have been. Because if it was Hard Road, it had to be from the Never Say Die record. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So anyhow, Ralph, you probably know that answer. So you're up next, anyhow.
No, but that makes sense that it might have been Dirty Women from a later album because it.
I don't think Dirty Women was
late '70s for it, but
was the single.
Just something really quick about
breaking up a little, Rob.
I don't know. But just like the way you like certain Oh, the way you like certain bands, like our friend Jay, he always freaks out when he hears that you like Slipknot or any of the
Yeah.
System of Down or any of that stuff. But I try to explain to him like you got to understand where Steve's coming from though. He's listening to music in a totally different way.
Yeah.
And he has a totally different perspective because you got young kids coming in buying this stuff. So you got to pay attention to what's coming up and what's going on. So you're listening and paying more attention than we are old fucks that are just like, we're
What are you calling
our
old fuck?
thing.
And
But I totally get
okay.
get where you're coming from with your
But,
when you like your weird things like, so I'm never get ragging on you for that shit. I might not like it, whatever.
Yeah,
but I get why you listen
so
to
Ralph, Jay would not approve of Ed Farsley having the Eagles and Tom Petty in the top 10 either.
Yeah, he makes believe like he didn't listen to music back then, no, but and he would have liked certain things, but as far as the later things go, it's different. You come at listening to music at a different perspective than anybody I know because of your profession.
I mean, and James is a little bit like that too.
But you got 50 kids coming in, no one giving a fuck about the newest death metal release, but they might be all hipped on some other album, and you got to go,
Taylor
well,
Swift.
what is it about this album that they're all
I don't
these
listen
kids
to
are
that
coming
though.
in for?
The kids
But
can listen
totally
to Taylor Swift, but I'm not bringing that one home. But I do think
Steve, just shake it off.
You dig the sales.
Sammy
See what I did there? Huh?
Sammy and Zara's wife was in the shop today. She's doing a little shopping, and she's like, "I can't believe you have Taylor Swift posters." I'm like, "We're the only record store in Middletown. We have everything that sells.
Yeah.
If we just
need them,
as much as we love death metal, if we just sell death metal, I wouldn't be in business.
You wouldn't be, you would have a record store.
I don't give a fuck about Billie Eilish, but I sell a lot of her records.
Yeah, she's become hot again. That was real quiet for a while. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Go anyhow, Ralph. Back to you.
All right, so number 5, I'm gonna go AC/DC.
Yeah.
Fucking Highway to Hell. I got it on album. I got the cassette. I got the CD. Just one of the earlier bands after Kiss for me that I latched onto. There was a kid in my like elementary school. We used to, when it rained, they had they would close off the rooms and let you play records and stuff because it was raining. So for recess, we'd just sit there and listen to records. I remember listening to like Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap and like the song Big Balls. We would all start singing it, and the kid the fucking teachers would freak out and ban it. So once an album got banned, that was like, oh, that was the dangerous album. That's the dangerous band to get into. And it's funny because at the same time I was listening to that, I was listening to Pink Floyd, The Wall. But I'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, number 5 is that. And now for Judas Priest, I mean, Hellbent for Leather is going to be my number 4. And of course, I would totally go with Unleashed in the East, but I try to avoid, like Denny was saying earlier, you try to avoid, because it's like picking a best of and stuff. But I got to say, when Unleashed in the East, when I was a kid, I had British Steel, and I had Screaming for Vengeance was the album that was coming out at the time, and it was like I kind of like missed Point of Entry, but it went from British Steel right to Screaming, and so when I finally got around to like getting the old Judas Priest, it was Unleashed in the East, and that kind of covered like all the old albums until I got around to buying those albums. So Unleashed in the East is such a huge important album, but in this I'm going to go with Hellbent for Leather, and then so my number. Oh, so yeah. Now I'm doing the double shot. I'm going to go Motorhead, Bomber. Here's the cassette. Here's the special edition CD, and here's the big special edition vinyl that came with the book inside, and it's got all sorts of stuff in here. Double live albums in there and everything. Bomber is fucking amazing album. And then I'll just go right into it and say Overkill is my number 2,
Mhm.
and it's like probably my favorite Motorhead. It's so hard to pick like just one album for Motorhead. I always say like No Remorse is my number 1 album, but then that's like picking the greatest hits. But there's 4 new songs on it and everything. But yeah, Bomber and Overkill to come out in '79, that is just so cool. Like I didn't get into those albums till like in the later '80s, in the mid '80s. Pretty much once I got No Remorse, then I had a lot of those songs. But just amazing fucking albums. And like Ed, Pink Floyd, The Wall. I got the vinyl. I got the very first CD I ever bought when I got a CD player, as I got this double, like back then it came as a double case thing. This was the very first CD I ever bought, even though I had the album already. I had the cassette. Like Ed was saying, I mean, I've listened to this album more than any other album probably ever. And it's a double album, but I took a ton of mescaline, ton of acid, ton of mushrooms as a kid, and I love psychedelics and stuff, and that was my go-to. And just like Ed was saying, the movie I seen so many times, like maybe as many times as I listened to the album back in the day. I used to just love coming home after a night of tripping and going crazy and raising hell all night. I'd come home and that would be my thing to fucking settle me down so I don't get kicked out of my house, I try to just chill out to some Pink Floyd, The Wall. And I pulled out all the toys. Like I got so much stuff. I got books and stuff just about this album. This album's so important to me. Very emotional album for a lot of people. I've seen Roger Waters twice do this. I seen him at Yankee Stadium, sold out show, do The Wall, and I seen him at Giant Stadium. And one of the crazy things is we had tickets for like, I don't know, you get tickets for these kind of big shows like 8 months ahead of time. So we had tickets the whole time. I came home from work and my dog had died, and it was like 13-year-old dog, and it died. It like ate something or something. I don't know. I came home from work and getting ready to go to the show, thinking I'm getting home a little early. I actually left work like an hour early and found my dog dead in my kitchen. I shouldn't even probably even bring this up, but it was a horrible thing. But anyway, it was raining out, and I went out in my backyard and I buried my dog before my wife got home. And my wife got home, and I had to tell her what happened. And we were just both so heartbroken. But I had tickets for 8 months, and it was like we could sit here and just fucking be miserable and cry for fucking next 24 hours or however long, or we could just go and just try to like make the best of it. And such an emotional album. And then for that to happen on the same day, and we ended up going to the show, and it was a great show as far as the show goes, but it was like it was brutal. It was probably but anyway, number 1 album, my favorite Pink Floyd album. And it's right there with Animals. I love Animals. It's like it's so close, but The Wall is the one because of the movie. It's and I went to see it Trip in the theater. They played it by the Caldors there, the Cinema 9 or whatever. They played the midnight showing there. Me and my friends, we all went there. We fucking tripped out. We took a bunch of acid before. We were waiting online, all fucking tripping out. It was fucking awesome to see that on the big screen.
That was one of those great movies that you go see, and it was like an event going to the movie theater, which doesn't happen much anymore. I mean, it kind of did a little bit this year because Ghost put out a fucking movie, and so did Sabaton. So it was weird going to the Galleria, but it was reminding me of going to these classics back in the day, which were mostly midnight shows. They would have this late at night.
That's what it was. It was at midnight.
Whether song remains the same or
heavy metal,
Rocky Horror.
Like the Rocky Horror was like that. So that was that time period of the early '80s, there was a few movies like that you
But
would.
I got that theater out by us out here that plays like once a month. They
Yeah,
play like
Rosendale or
the
whatever.
creature features. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then they also do like a bunch of music ones. They
Okay.
have like the Monkees movies and the Beatles movies they'll play on the
Oh,
big screen. They haven't done The Wall yet, but on
yeah.
420 this year, I seen Up in Smoke on the big screen at
Cool.
420.
Hey,
And
Pete,
next month is Ray Harryhausen double feature. It's
Nice.
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and Jason and the Argonauts in
That's
one night.
cool.
So I can't wait for that. I'm
Nice.
going
We
to
have
that.
we have one here in Tampa. It's the Tampa Theater, and
Mhm.
they do that too. They'll play the Monkees and all that shit. It's kind of cool. I tried to catch them when they do the showings, but yeah, it's pretty neat. It's an old school theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, just bring it
Actually,
back.
tonight on that screen at the place by me tonight is Big Trouble in Little China. I
Oh,
probably would have
really?
went if I wasn't
Oh,
doing
I
this
love that
episode right now.
movie.
That movie's great.
Fuck yeah.
They did Spinal Tap like 2 months ago. I
Okay.
missed it though.
Oh yeah.
I
It's
guess.
always one time showing they do.
Cool. Well, thanks, Ralph. And I'm going to go next because I went before Denny, and Denny's going to wrap this up tonight. We can have somebody throw a couple honorables if they need to, but we'll wrap this thing up pretty quick. And I'm going to go
Yeah, I
with
got a couple honorables.
couple honorables. We'll go back and you can close us out then. Number 5 for me is the Scorpions' Love Drive. Loving You Sunday Morning, Another Piece of Meat, Fucking Holiday, such a great song. Number 4, I'm going with Van Halen 2, Light Up the Sky, Somebody Get Me a Doctor. We've discussed this a little bit already, so I won't go too. Of course, The You're No Good. Such a great album, such a great party album. Number 3, no one has mentioned this album, and I'm going to get a thumbs up from Mr. Parr. Denny, what do you think I'm gonna? This is the only prop I had. I had a crazy day at work. I went up there to get my records, and I had all kinds of problems with my pinball machine, so I didn't even think about it. I was like, "It's number 3. Is Frank Marino Mahogany Rush Tales of the Unexpected." This album is so great, and I just love the album cover. This reminds me of the year, like when I got this, my room looked sort of like this room. It was like black light posters, experiencing the green leaf and smoking and drinking. It was still, my parents still lived in the house. I was a teenager, but having this album and listening to it, and the Door of Illusion, Woman, freaking Sister Change kicking it off, the Tales of the Unexpected, the instrumental. I mean, of course, it has All on the Watchtower, which was a great live song that he would do. Down, go get down, down, down. Woman, Bottom of the Barrel Blues, Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush. I'm the first one to mention it tonight. And my only prop of the evening. My number 2 is Pink Floyd, The Wall, the whole album. We had DCM actually covered Another Brick in the Another Brick Part 3, I think we did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was a Floyd song. I can't remember which one we did.
It's kind of politically incorrect. We would get in trouble nowadays if we did it. But hey, fucking Hey You.
Was it Hey You?
No, we didn't do Hey You. We did Are There Any in the Theater Tonight?
Oh, that's
against the wall. Yeah. And Run Like Hell, of course. It's just
that was probably the best DCM ever sounded. We actually practiced for that one. That was at Sportland.
Well, maybe in 2025 we'll get DCM together for one more.
Okay, I'll hold my breath.
We'll see what happens. It was a trying year for me with music. So, anyhow,
I'm always ready, man.
That's the trial, though. I think it was the trial. It's not Another Brick.
It might have been. It might have been. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but we covered the one song from a snippet from it at least. And my number 1, yeah, maybe I'm cheating. I picked the live album. It's my favorite Judas Priest record, Unleashed in the East. I mean, like Danny said, how do you go against it? And I include live albums this year, and with Queen and whatever else. And you mentioned the Pat Travers album. I forgot about that, but yeah, Unleashed in the East, top to bottom, fucking great. And when it's sort of like Strangers in the Night by UFO. I like the versions of these songs better than the studio albums. I got a couple honorables. I did mention the Bad Company. I Blackfoot Strikes, but just off the radar for me on this. Journey Evolution was an early Journey record, which I saw that tour also. So
I love that record. It's a great record.
Yep. And I guess that about wraps it up. And I actually found a news bulletin because we're all going crazy in the Northeast. There's drones. I found out what it really is. I'm going to disclose it now. This is going to get millions of views because CNN's picking it up. Fox is picking it up. It's the Space Eagle. It's Space 1999. That is the ship that we're seeing, is it not? Is it not? I'm asking you. There's Commander Koenig. He's going to have a news conference tonight around 1 a.m. And there's his lovely wife, Barbara Bain from the Great. And guess what? This one also has the thermos.
All right.
Gotta have the thermos.
I was actually going to lay off drinking, and then you saw me and James at the same time do a poll after you broke out the lunchbox. So,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, I got a couple honorable mentions. I didn't do my honorables.
I'm not cutting it off yet. Danny has to go still too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was just throwing in that news bulletin. Right
Ralph, do your honorable mention first, bud. Just go.
Okay.
All right. So, hardcore punk. People don't think about it until the '80s, but some of the stuff was getting released in '79. We got Dead Kennedys. This is an autographed 7-inch by Jello Biafra. California Uberalis 7-inch. This is only a single, so it's not really an album. But Misfits Live '79, The Perfect Crime, when Bobby Steele was back in the band, was still in the band.
Yeah.
They also put out Horror Business 7-inch. Wow. And they also did Night of Living Dead 7-inch, but I don't have that. Black Flag did their first fucking EP, Nervous Again. Jealous Again. And it's with the first singer, Keith Morris from Circle Jerks. The Sex Pistols had Great Rock and Roll Swindle.
Yeah.
It's gatefold, the original vinyl. Then Ramones have It's Alive. Let's see what else did I had written down that I didn't pull out. Foreigner, Head Games, Jethro Tull, Stormwatch.
Oh yeah, the Tull album. Yeah.
The Clash, London Calling.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
And this was one that it's not really an official 1979, but Venom, they put out this album a couple years ago, The Sons of Satan.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 songs on here from it's like rehearsals from '79 in a church. They were playing in a church. And then here's something I think Denny probably might end up saying is Night in the Ruts by Aerosmith. I know he's a huge Aerosmith fan. So yeah, that's it. There wasn't that much.
Cool. All right.
Iron Maiden Soundhouse tapes.
Oh yeah. That would probably be in my top 5 if I actually owned a real copy of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know fucking Tony's got some version of that, so I'm surprised that didn't make Tony's.
I didn't even think about it, but yeah, I've got the official CD version of it. That pretty hard to get.
That should have been in top 5.
First Def Leppard EP.
Yeah, I've got that. But it's not that great. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Cool. All right, so everybody's got their honorables in. It's time for Santa Claus, and when I get done, tomorrow I'm going to play Herb Alpert's Christmas album.
Nice.
Oh, boo!
I got 10
when Steve does it.
I just wanted to say about Unleashing the East, this album was so good that it stopped me from going to listen to some of the original album, to the point where Tyrant, if I want to listen to Tyrant, I'd just go straight to Unleashing the East. I would not even go back to their album. And so a lot of
Same.
live album, like I didn't have the same feeling with Strangers in the Night. I still would go back and
Okay.
listen to Force It or things like that. But Unleashing the East was like
Hmm.
kind of like art to top. So for me, number five, Ralph just talked about it. Aerosmith Night in the Ruts, right in the nuts.
That's right.
Even Aggression covered No Surprise and 3 Mile Smile from that album in a complete alcohol fuel evening with everything, all the drugs that Ralph mentioned. I think we did it that night and the song. Worst version cover ever made in the history. But yeah, Aerosmith Light in the Ruts. Then Rainbow Down to Hurt. Like I I like that album a lot more than I thought when I went and re-listened to it. And I think that album might be like the blueprint of what was to come from like AOR, kind of like
Oh yeah.
glam light. Like just it's so well crafted songs, and it's it just showcased that Richie Blackmore in the end, like the guy, no wonder like Van Halen and Shanker and everybody worshiped the guy because he was able to adjust like with different bands. Best singer scout in the history of rock. So like yeah, like the this album has a lot of like songs that were crafted that if you go back later and listen to like Night Ranger or Rat or anything that was came in the 80s, um, if you looked at that, there's not many bands that sounded like that at that time. You had some US rock band like Stars and like
Hmm.
that were almost there, but these guys definitely like with that album and Graham Bonnet, they really did the job. Number three, Scorpion Love Drive. Come on, Shanker, Michael, back with the brother, and like so many guitars, instrumental, and everything.
Hmm.
I don't want to repeat everything that Tony
Coast to
said,
coast.
but exactly. I don't like that reggae song either. I always skipped it on my record, but yeah, I love the cover with the tits and the gum stuck to it. And I don't know, it really
Gotta love
worked for me.
hypnosis.
Number two, Ted Nugent's State of Shock.
Wow,
Um,
nobody mentioned that yet.
Oh wow.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, back in '79, Nugent was not only the huge, he was huge, and everybody, like, I mean,
Paralyzed.
saw him live that year. State of Shock, Paralyzed, Saddle Sore. It's just such a good guitar record, and I don't think it gets enough praise because it's the
You're right.
cover, everything is so well done. So State of Shock definitely.
You're right.
I
You're
don't
right.
know.
That album's really forgotten in the
Yeah, but
album.
it's a
Yep.
great guitar
Yep. Yep.
record.
Yep. Yep.
It can stand up out there with most record. It's really good.
Yep.
And
Paralyzed
then
is
my number
great.
one,
Van
Van
Halen.
Halen 2. So if the first album didn't finish America and completely annihilated everybody, this
Yeah.
one did. When Dance the Night Away came out, it kind of brought like it was the first single. It kind of brought like Van Halen to another level even. Because now they add a little more melodies to it even and then you get the record and you start listening to like Light Up the Sky, Somebody Give Me a Doctor, DOA, and all that stuff. Like, um, I always liked it a lot. It's always been like in my top three favorite album of all time. I like the concept, the freaking David Lee Roth with the nurses and the fucking like bro like injured foot and the packaging and now the guitar with the yellow tape and like if ever you guys want to really be sold on that album, look on YouTube like Dimebag Daryl talking about Van Halen 2 and having like tears going down his face when he talks
Dime
about it.
got buried with that guitar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So
The Bumblebee guitar he's buried
Yeah.
with.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like it's I don't know, like it's still like if people call it like a flop. It sold 6 million records in the United States. Like I mean, I would take that kind of flop like any day. But yeah, I
Exactly.
really like it. I'm a Van Halen's my favorite band. I like everything about it. They brought that like Zeppelin kind of format, but like on acid and steroid, and just
Yeah.
like went crazy with it. But yeah, it's a great record. I always like, oh, like, they always have album with so many covers and stuff like that sometime, and fluff like dirt, like diver down. But like this one was definitely like my top record. Honorable mention. I'm not gonna say everything that everybody said, but I do like the damn Machine Gun Etiquette. Like I think it's a great record. And also Fleetwood Mac Tusk, if nobody mentioned it. But everything else that everybody mentioned, I for sure listened to it. Yeah,
So,
79, great year.
so Denny, what do you think of Tales of the Unexpected?
I I really like it, but because the four songs from the second side were all live songs,
Yeah.
like it always kind of like came to me as like I don't know
Hmm.
why I put these stupid rules when we do these shows, and like
Wait a
I'm
minute. So yeah, that's
restricting.
why you can't pick it
I'm
because
res-
half of it's
I know
live.
I'm like I'm putting restrictions that nobody cares on myself, but
But
yeah,
no,
because
that's good.
the second sound on the side was live, like I didn't want to use that. To me, it
But
was more like an
but
EP with
well,
like
those songs were new though on that album, though, correct?
I know, still, like I
Yeah, yeah,
said,
yeah.
stupid restriction. No, make no sense.
The
But
Door of Illusion.
yeah, I listened to that record
Hmm.
like so much. So
Yeah,
it's almost to me it's so personal that it's not
yeah,
even
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a great record. That cover along the Watchtower like is the only cover aside the Hendrix that is I think is worth listening to. It's really well done.
Well,
You can
remember
see he
that gimmick.
feels it.
Remember the gimmick, like that. Like I don't know who started that, whether it was the record company that like Jimmy had that Frank Marino had a dream that he was
Yeah,
Jimi
yeah. Took
Hendrix,
acid.
and then he woke up and he picked up a guitar and he could play.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like a
Yeah,
whole
somebody told us like, oh, because Jimi Hendrix died, and then
his
Frank
spirit.
Marino was like reincarnated that day. Dude, the guy was like 20 when fucking like Hendrix died. Like,
Yeah.
like, like the guy Frank Marino had a fucking mustache. He was 11. Like,
And he would come out on stage with those fucking capes, and it was just fucking badass, right?
yeah, spacey, crazy shit. But as a guitar player, it's kind of nice to listen to him because his phrasing is really different than anybody else out there. So
And
he
since
just he goes different with his scale and stuff. It's
and the
very
yeah, yeah. And to close this episode out, because there might be people didn't know, at one time, Denny was a little kid, and this wild man lived behind him with souped up cars and playing guitar, and that was Frank Marino, right?
yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he had like a duster like and like his brother had a Barracuda and they used to fucking like burn rubber in the street. And we would get so mad at them because when we would go then play ball hockey, there was fucking like groove in the pavement. It would making like our stick handle difficult because these guys just like yeah, is
I'll tell you, like his cover of Purple Haze though is holy shit. I mean, if you never heard that, it's
Yeah.
my jaw hit the ground when I heard that. Like I was at a buddy's house, and I was like, "Hey, you ever hear Frank Marino Mahogany Rush?" I'm like, "Nah," and then he's like, "I know you like Hendrix, man. Check this out." And I
Yeah.
heard Purple
That
Haze,
album,
and I was
man.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
"Holy shit, that is amazing, man."
Fun times.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Great album that was. Tony just hung up there.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we're running pretty late, and like everybody that watches the channel to have a great holiday season. Stay safe, and hopefully we'll be back in 3 weeks, because in 3 weeks we're going to talk about the year that we're in now, 2024. We're going to give our top 10 albums from 2024 and some honorable mentions. And then the following week after that, we'll be back with our favorite concerts from 2024. And then we're going to do something that Ovi and Denny wants to do, but I want to be a little bit of a part of it. They're going to talk about black metal, but we'll talk about it in the coldest month in January. I don't have any time to do anything now. We're a week from Christmas, and I'm going to be working the record shop. But anyhow, so
our idea of like going live to burn a church and broadcasting it on Christmas Day doesn't work for you.
We want to get monetized on this, so we'll
okay. Sorry, LV. Sorry. You can't do it,
that could be on Ovi's private channel that day. All right, so from that year, please, our viewers, please mention your favorite albums from 1979 and favorite concerts, whatever else, in the comments. And for everyone, for Ovi, for James, and go to Discodata if you're in Connecticut, buy some records and whatnot for the holidays. We got Tony Dio, we got Ed Farsley, we got Count Ralphus, we got Brad Mader, and last not least, Denny Barth. And we'll all see you next time on the Rock Fantasy File.